Level 1. The algorithm picks you up. You upload a video on a Thursday night, like you have uploaded every video for the last 14 months, and you go to sleep and you wake up at 2:37 in the morning because your phone is making a sound it has never made before, and the sound is notifications, multiple notifications, arriving faster than your phone can process them individually and stacking into a single vibration that has no precedent in 14 months of you posting into what felt most of the time like an empty room. The video has 11,000 views. You refresh, 13,000. You put the phone down, you pick it up, 17,000. You sit on the edge of the bed in the dark and you look at the number and the number keeps changing and something in your chest is doing something that is not quite describable, but that you will spend the next several months trying to describe to people who were not sitting on the edge of their bed at 2:37 in the morning watching a number climb. By Friday afternoon, it has 240,000 views. You have gained 9,000 subscribers in 18 hours. 9,000 people, the population of a small town, chose to follow you in the time it takes to sleep and wake up and eat breakfast and sit at your actual job pretending to work while your phone buzzes every 4 minutes in your pocket. The comments section is the thing you weren't prepared for, not the numbers, the comments. Because the numbers are abstract. They are digits on a screen. They could be bots or accidents or a glitch in the system for all you can feel them. But the comments are sentences written by specific people sitting in specific rooms in countries you have never visited who watched something you made in your bedroom and then opened their phone and typed something because the thing you made them feel something and they needed to put it somewhere. Someone from the Philippines says they watched it 3 times. Someone from the UK says they sent it to their brother. Someone from Brazil says this is me and it is 23 words and you read it 11 times. The video that went up before this one has 412 views. The video before that has 800. The 14 months of 400 views and 800 views did not produce this, and the video that produced this is not objectively your best work, and you know this and you will think about this for a long time. The algorithm found you. You do not know why it found you this video and not the others. The algorithm does not explain itself. The algorithm does not owe you an explanation. The algorithm picked you up and now it is watching to see what you do next. And the next video you make will be the most important thing you have ever uploaded because 9,000 new subscribers came here for something. And if the next thing you give them is not the thing they came for, the algorithm will put you back down and the number will stop climbing, and the 2:37 feeling will become a memory you spend the next 2 years trying to recreate. You open a new document, the cursor blinks, you type a title, you delete it, you type another one. The pressure is a different shape from the pressure that existed before Friday. Before Friday, the pressure was, will anyone watch this? After Friday, the pressure is, will they stay? Level 2. Quitting the job. The spreadsheet has 4 columns: YouTube income, job income, monthly expenses, runway. The runway column is the one you look at last because looking at it is the thing that either makes the decision or makes you close the spreadsheet and not open it again for 3 weeks. The runway column tells you how many months you can survive on your current YouTube income before the savings run out and you have to do something else. Right now, the runway column says 7. 7 months ago, it said 2. The direction is correct. The direction does not feel like enough. You have been doing this for 2 years and 4 months. You are making between $4,000 and $9,000 a month from YouTube depending on CPM and whether the brands are spending in Q4 and whether the algorithm is in a generous mood, which is a sentence that sounds insane when you say it out loud at a dinner party and is simply the operating reality of your professional life. The job pays $38,000 a year, and the job requires you to be in a building 5 days a week for 8 hours a day. And those 8 hours are the 8 hours during which your brain does its best creative work, and you spend them in meetings about things that have nothing to do with anything you care about, and you come home at 6:30 and you are supposed to make a video. You quit on a Tuesday. Not because Tuesday is significant, but because the resignation letter was ready on Monday and you sat on it for 1 day because your mother called on Sunday night and she said, "Are you sure?" And you said yes, and the yes was true, and you sat on the letter for 1 day anyway, because the yes being true and the yes feeling real are 2 different things, and you wanted 1 more night of the 2 things being separate before you made them the same. The last day of the job is strange in a way you didn't predict. Your colleagues throw you a small party in the break room with a plain grocery store cake, and they say things like, "Follow your dreams, and you're so brave, and these things are kind," and you hear them, and somewhere behind the hearing, you are calculating next month's expenses and wondering whether the video you're planning will hit or miss. Because if it misses, the runway column shortens and the grocery store cake is fine, but the grocery store cake is also the last guaranteed thing, and everything after it is you. The first Monday of full-time YouTube is a Tuesday, psychologically. You sleep until 8, you make coffee slowly, you sit at your desk and you open the editing software, and there is no one telling you what to do. And this is the freedom you quit for. And the freedom is also terrifying in the specific way that no ceiling is terrifying when you have spent 2 years bumping your head against one. The ceiling was a constraint, and the ceiling was also a guarantee, and the guarantee is gone and the work begins. You check your analytics at 9:15, at 10:40, at 1 p.m., at 3. You check your analytics the way you used to check your email at the job. Not because you expect something to have changed, but because the checking is the nervous system's response to uncertainty, the body's way of doing something in the face of something it cannot control. The analytics are the same at 3 as they were at 9:15. The video is performing fine. Fine is enough today. Fine needs to be enough every day now. Level 3. The brand deal. The first real brand deal arrives in an email with a subject line that contains the words "partnership opportunity" and a number in the body that is more than you made in your first 3 months of YouTube combined. You read it twice. You forward it to no one because there is no one to forward it to who would understand the specific significance of the number without you explaining the context. And the explanation would take longer than simply sitting with it alone and letting the number be the number. You close the email, you open it again, you close it again. The brand is a legitimate brand, not a cryptocurrency, not a VPN that wants you to claim it's the best VPN you've ever used, which would be a lie because you have used 2 VPNs in your life. A legitimate brand that makes something real that people buy with money and that has decided your audience is an audience they want to be in front of. This is a sentence you have been waiting to receive for 2 years and 9 months. And the sentence has arrived, and the sentence contains a non-disclosure agreement and a content brief and a list of approved talking points and 3 things you cannot say and 2 things you must say and a revision process that requires their marketing team to approve the final video before it goes live. You shoot the integration. You shoot it 4 times. Not because the first 3 were technically wrong, they were technically fine. Because the first 3 felt like you were performing the words rather than saying them. And you have spent 3 years building an audience that can tell the difference between you saying something and you performing something, and the difference matters to you more than the non-disclosure agreement specifies that it needs to. The 4th take is good, not perfect, usable. You send the cut to the marketing team. The marketing team sends back notes. The notes say, can we make the product sound more premium, and also can you not mention the price, because the price is a sensitive topic internally. You read the notes, you make most of the changes, you push back on one. The marketing team says fine, the video goes live, the comments notice. Not all of them. Maybe 1 in 50. But the 1 in 50 who notice are the ones who have watched everything you've made for 3 years, and they leave a comment that says, "This felt a bit off," and you read that comment at 11 p.m. alone, and it sits with you longer than the brand deal number did because the brand deal number is the money and the comment is the thing the money cost. You negotiate harder on the next one. More creative control, fewer approved talking points. You turn down 2 that don't fit. Not because you can afford to turn them down, because you can't afford to keep taking ones that cost more than they pay in the currency that doesn't appear in any spreadsheet but that runs the entire operation. Level 4. The burnout. You are sitting in front of a camera on a Wednesday morning and you have nothing to say. Not nothing in the sense that your life is empty or your ideas have run out. Nothing in the sense that you have been sitting in front of this camera 3 to 4 times a week for 4 years, and the accumulated weight of that sitting has produced something in you that is not depression exactly, and is not laziness exactly, and is not writer's block exactly, and is its own specific thing with its own specific texture that the creator community calls burnout. in a way that makes it sound like a phase rather than the specific collapse of the relationship between making things and wanting to make things. You open the Notes app. You have 43 video ideas in the Notes app. You wrote them on good days, days when the ideas were arriving faster than you could type them, days when the camera felt like a conversation rather than an obligation. You read through them now on a Wednesday morning when the camera is on, and the ideas feel like someone else's handwriting. You pick one, you start recording. You watch yourself back at the 2-minute mark and you close the laptop. The analytics have been inconsistent for 3 months. Not bad, inconsistent. Some videos performing the way they always have, and some videos performing the way videos perform when the algorithm is not in a generous mood, and you cannot identify the variable that makes the difference because the variable is the algorithm. And the algorithm does not explain itself, and you have spent 4 years trying to understand something that is specifically designed to be incomprehensible. You check the analytics at 8 a.m. You check them after breakfast. You check them before you try to film. You check them after you fail to film. You check them before bed. The analytics are the first thing you look at and the last thing you look at, and somewhere in the middle of the second year of full-time YouTube, they stopped being information and became the primary emotional input of your day, the thing that tells you whether the day was a good day before you have had a chance to decide for yourself whether it was a good day. There is a video you need to make. You have been needing to make it for 6 weeks. Every week you get ready to make it, and the readiness doesn't convert into the making. And another week passes, and the gap between the needing and the making gets wider. And the wider the gap gets, the heavier the video becomes, and the heavier the video becomes, the less you want to sit down and make it. You take a week off. Not publicly. You don't announce it. Because announcing a break is something you've seen other creators do and watch the comments respond to, and the comments do not always respond with the warmth a person taking a week off needs from the thing they're taking the week off from. You quietly take a week, and you do not touch the camera, and you do not check the analytics, and on day 4 of the week something loosens slightly, and on day 6 you get an idea that doesn't feel like someone else's handwriting. The week off costs you 11,000 views by your estimate. The 11,000 views are the price of the idea that came on day 6, and the idea that came on day 6 is the video that becomes one of the best things you've ever made. You needed to lose the 11,000 views. You needed to stop being a person who checks analytics before deciding whether the day was a good day. You are still that person. You are working on it. Level 5. The institution. There is a person on the internet who has tattoo of your logo, and you found out about it when someone tagged you in a photo and you sat with the information for a moment that was longer than moments are supposed to be. Not because it's alarming, because it is the final and most extreme version of something you have been sitting with for 2 years, which is the gap between what you are inside your own experience and what you have become inside other people's. Inside your own experience, you are someone who talks to a camera in a room. You have talked to a camera in a room for 5 years and 8 months, and the camera is the same camera you bought at year 2 when the first one broke, and the room is the same room you have filmed in since the algorithm picked you up at 2:37 in the morning. And the talking is the same talking. The specific way you explain things, the specific cadence of the sentences. The thing your hands do when you're making a point that you have noticed people reference in the comments with the level of familiarity people reserve for things that have become part of their routine. Inside other people's experience, you are something else. You are a 2 million subscriber channel. You are a notification that arrives on someone's phone when a video drops. You are the thing someone puts on when they're doing the dishes or going for a run or lying in bed at midnight needing to hear a voice that feels familiar. You are not famous in the way that produces paparazzi or television appearances. You are famous in the specific internet way that means 12% of the population has never heard of you, and 4% of the population would recognize your name immediately and send their friends a message right now saying, "I watch this person every week." You have a team now, 3 people. An editor who has been with you since year 3 and who knows the channel's language better than you could explain it to a stranger, who can take 40 minutes of footage and find the 17 minutes that is actually the video without you being in the room. A thumbnail designer whose understanding of what makes a person click is so specific and so earned that you have stopped trying to explain it and started trusting it. A manager who takes the brand deal emails and responds to them in a way that gets you more money and more creative control than you would get if you responded yourself, because the manager knows how to speak that language and you know how to speak a different one. And the two languages between them run the operation. The operation has a revenue. The revenue is real. The revenue has a comma in it. The revenue comes from AdSense and from the brand deals and from the membership program you launched 18 months ago, where a portion of the audience pays a small monthly amount to get access to things the main channel doesn't have, and in return you talk to them once a week in a live session where they ask questions and you answer them, and the live session is the closest thing to the original reason you started, which is the thing you have to keep locating because the institution can make the original reason invisible if you are not paying attention. You upload a video today. You have uploaded a video every week for 5 years and 8 months with 11 exceptions, each of which you remember specifically. The week your grandmother died, the week you had COVID, the week the Burnout won for 7 days, 4 other weeks that had their own specific reasons. The video today took 3 days to make. Year 1 videos took 6 hours to make. The videos are better now. The videos take longer. The relationship between those two things is not simple. You hit publish, you close the laptop, you go for a walk, because the walk after publishing a video is the specific ritual that creates a container around the thing you just released, a physical boundary between the making and the waiting, between the doing and the being judged, between the thing you built and the number the thing will become. Somewhere right now, someone is watching a video you made 18 months ago that they found through the algorithm, and it is the first video of yours they have seen, and they are about to open another one, and the channel is about to become part of their routine in the way that things become part of routines, gradually and then completely. They are where you were. The camera is still on.